Hello viewer, welcome back to 54A. I've been really busy, sort of rearranging the workshop a bit, getting it a bit more as I want it. And it's a lovely sunny day outside, so I've decided to come into the shed. There must be some logic in there somewhere, or I don't know where. I'll just spin the camera around and show you what I've done so far. I've rearranged all my tools along there. Got my new grinder at last. That's all set up nicely now with my little sharpening jig. Rearranged everything around that end. So it's been chaos in here actually. Still, it's all done now. So, I've got to make a fruit bowl. I found this lump of wood on my shelf, which I must have been practicing on when I first had my lathe. I think it's a bit of sapele. Yeah, I must have been practicing because I left this great lump on it. Anyway, I've screwed the plate on. I'm going to true this side up. I'm going to leave this foot on, I think, and make a bit of a feature out of it, if I can. But I also want the bowl to be a bit deeper, so I'm going to put a row of segments round here. I don't know whether to do it a single colour or two colours yet, but I'll get back to you on that when I start cutting them out. So that's the project. I'll get this on the lathe, get it trued up. I won't bother showing you that, I mean it's only a skim. And then I'll start segmenting, so I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I found a strip of mahogany. I've run it through the planer, both sides. I'm going to do a 16 segment. I've just test run a couple of pieces through, so I've got to cut another 14 on the old sled. Should be all set up, so here we go. Just make sure everything's nicely clamped, nice and tight, your stop's nice and tight. This is imperative, you really need that. Here we go anyway. There we go, 16 pieces. Next for the glue up. Because it's so big, I've got 3 of these hose clips together this time, so it's about a 10-inch ring I think, so you've all seen the gluing up process, so I'll get back to you later on. Actually, there might be some new subscribers out there that haven't actually seen the gluing up process, so I'll quickly run through it. Make sure you've got you can use whatever, I mean I use these cable, wherever they are, just join them together. Make sure it's big enough to go over your segments. When you've cut your segments as accurately as you possibly can, you start gluing. Get hold of one, bit of glue on the end. I use my finger, a lot of people use a little brush, or you know, it's up to you. Quickly glue 2 together, give it a little slide and it'll soon grip. Then you start going round. Fair amount of glue on, you don't want it to collapse on you. Take the next one out, pop that one in, give it a squeeze, Nice squeeze till you start to see the glue coming out, but when you clamp it up it'll ooze out anyway. That's if you've got your angles right. And carry on like this all the way round. And when it's done I'll show you how to tighten it all up. Okay, when you've got them all glued up, just get hold of a screwdriver. You might not be able to see this because I'm left-handed, it's a bit awkward. Start screwing it up and get it as tight as you possibly can. You'll see the glue start to squeeze out now on the joints. Make sure you got it as flat as absolutely possible, each one, before you tighten it up for good. Best to give it a tap around with the mallet. Make sure they're all sitting as flat as possible. Keep tightening. When it's so tight that you can't do it anymore. Now, see all the squeeze out coming now, which means they're pretty good joints. That's about your lot. Let's check the last one. Oh, a bit of a turn there. So that's it. Get rid of any excess glue that gets in the way of, you might have it sticking to your work surface. I just use a bit of scrap laminate when I'm gluing up, and best to pop it on a couple of bits of scrap while it's setting, then it won't stick to your bench. Got a few old wedges here, so just make sure you haven't put that over one of the joints, otherwise it'll stick to it. So that's about it. Now if you're not absolutely spot on, if there's a bit of a gap, it's not the end of the world. I think I've mentioned this in a video in the past. You still carry on with your circle, but halfway there and there, do not put any glue. Leave those two joints dry and put a piece of scrap wood in between each piece. Then you can still clamp it up as usual. When it's dry you end up with two semicircles, and obviously because they're a bit out, all you do is take it over to the sander, sand the ends off until they match up. It's usually only a very quick rub. You might only be a degree out or something, so it's not the end of the world. If you haven't got your segments exactly spot on, there's a way around it. Okay, so I'll leave that to dry now and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I glued the segmented ring onto the bowl blank. That's been there for a good few hours now, well clamped up. So I'll just take the clamps off now and then get it over onto the lathe. That's if it doesn't fall apart in the meantime. You can never have enough clamps. Take the ring off. So there we have it. That doesn't look too bad. So I'll fix it on there with that and work on the back of the bowl first. Get that all finished off and polished up. Put a mortise or tenon, whatever it's called there, so I can use my jaws of the chuck in expansion mode and turn it round and finish off the inside. So I'll get it over to the lathe and see you in a minute. Right, just going to true this up a bit, knock these corners off, and then I'll start work shaping it and finishing off the base. That'll do for now. Yeah, I don't know whether to do something different with that. I might put a bit more angle on it, I think. I'll see how it goes. That's a bit better. Gotta make sure it's nice and true. still nice and tight. I like to check now and again. That should sit nice and flat on somebody's table now. And get round to putting a bit of proper shape on this, the rest of it now on the underside of the bowl. Just want smoothing and rounding off a bit. I'm not going to be too fussy with it. Well, not too fussy with the shape anyway. Just go nice and gently, I mean no hurry at all. Still a bit more to go, but that's basically the shape that I'm happy with. I'll carry on. I do tend to use my scrapers a lot. I'm not too hot on the bowl gouges and spindle gouges yet. I still need a lot more practice with those, so I tend to use scrapers as my main tool, but they seem to work, so not too bothered really. Yeah, I think that's better. That's just about got it. Still a bit of glue there, so maybe I should leave this for a bit. Unless it was just a bit that was oozed out. The rest of it seems okay. I'll give it a sand down now anyway and see how it looks after that. There's a bit of a ridge there, needs to come out before I do any sanding. Starting off with 150 grit. You don't have to put much pressure on when you're sanding, just a very light touch. The sandpaper will do all the work. So the next one is 240 grit. I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah.
There, I hope you enjoyed that little intermission. I'll carry on with the sanding now. It's all nice and dry by the magic of video. It's now the next day. All the fish are called Eric, by the way. Right, I'm going to carry on sanding with 150 grit to start with. Now 240 grit. .320. Next is 400. .600, that should be enough. I think that'll do nicely. Right, next is to get some sanding sealant on there and then a couple of coats of polish. See you in a minute. I'm just going to apply the second coat of sanding sealant now. If you've got a piece of scrap wood, put it over the bed of your lathe, because any spillage on the rails of your lathe will stop everything running smoothly. I learnt that the hard way, so I always make sure I've got a bit of scrap wood on there now. So second coat of sanding sealant. Don't be afraid to be generous with it. And let that dry for a second or two. It helps bring the grain out, and then I just knock it back with a Scotch pad. 10 a penny these things are. That's dry now. So a quick rub with the Scotch pad. Do it. Next is the polish. Now, because this is an item that's going to hold food, I'm putting a food safe finish on it. Hang on, the labels come off. There we go. Other makes are available, I presume. It's best to be on the safe side. I think I've never used this before, so let's have a look. Blah 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 blah. Okay, that was easy enough. Nice clean piece of kitchen roll. And rub it all over, leave it to dry, buff it up. It's very similar in application to your normal polishes and waxes. But this is much more of a liquid form than a paste. Seems to be going on quite nicely anyway. Don't know what it's going to buff up like, but we'll soon find out. Right, now this does take a bit longer to dry, so I'll switch the camera off and I'll get back to you when I'm buffing it up. Right, I'll just buff this first coat up and see what it looks like. Well, that doesn't look too bad, and that's just one coat. Of course, when you're using food safe polish, you only have to do it really on the sides of the vessel that food's going to come into contact with. But to save any confusion, I thought I'd do the whole bowl in it just to be on the safe side. So I'll give it another coat, and then I'll turn the bowl round and start hollowing out the inside. Okay, all turned round in the chuck in expansion mode, as tight as I can possibly get it. Going to start hollowing it out there, give it a bit of shape to the inside. Going to start with the old carbide scraper. I really like these scrapers, they're smashing to use. Got a little lump on my wrist there. That's it. You get the idea. I'll carry on with that now. Nice gentle strokes, and take a bit of this thickness off. So I'll see you later. That's coming on quite nicely. In fact, I don't really want to go much deeper than that. Maybe a couple of scrapes, and then I'll finish off this edge. So I'll get back to you in a bit. Right, got second coat on there. I'm just going to buff it up now for the final time. Nice clean piece of kitchen roll. That looks about it. Just get it out of the chuck. There you go. Well, that hasn't come out too bad at all. I'm quite pleased with that. Lovely finish on it. That food safe oil, really nice. Does take about 20 to 30 minutes to actually go off before you can buff it up. But that's it for now. Well, viewer, that's it for another project. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry it dragged on a bit, but I wanted to show as much detail as I could. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I have to have a think about that. One shout out this week, Furtado. I'll put a link down if I can fathom out how to do it. Great bloke, very experimental. He sees things in pieces of wood that a lot of us just don't see. And he's always trying different things, and he's not afraid to put his failures up. I've watched some of his videos where he's started off with a great piece of wood like this and ended up with a pile of sawdust. But some of his stuff is absolutely amazing, so nip over to his channel and have a look and see what you think. That's about it for this week, or today anyway. I'll see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye now.